Hi there. My name's Abe Angievsky, and great to spend a couple of minutes with you. More than a couple of minutes. Good session with you on some of the basic fundamentals of marketing, key tools of the trade when it comes to having an effective, comprehensive, highly visible online presence. We're going to go over the basics of having a strong presence on Google in terms of listings presence. So making sure that your foundational campground information or campground related listings are in good shape from a content perspective and from the perspective of wanting to land in the critically important first three returned search results. And we'll also talk about some of the other fundamentals of a foundational marketing presence. I've built a slide deck and I've got a half hour or 40 minutes of content to click through with you. My objective is to be really informative, and let me pull that deck up by sharing my screen and we can get started. I think you can probably see that. Let me jump to full screen here. And begin. So I think it's always helpful when you listen to somebody prognosticate about a particular topic to understand that you are talking to somebody who has years of experience and a credible level of expertise. And I'd like to put myself in that category as it relates to the foundationals, the foundational basics, the fundamentals of having a good online presence. I lead a 350-person digital agency, and we do a tremendous amount of work with campground owners. We've been in business for 25 years, and have a nationwide network of salespeople, service personnel, and have worked with about 50,000 small business owners in the past 12 months. Our entire business is focused on typically single location, oftentimes multi-location, family-owned businesses and owner-operated businesses. So not big enterprise customers, not corporate clients with, for instance, hundreds of campgrounds, but owner-operated operations with limited advertising budgets and a real need for efficiency. And the good news here is I'm going to give you lots of tips and tactics for managing a great online presence by yourself. And I'll give you some good ideas towards the end of my remarks for really important, inexpensive, or free things that you can do related to marketing to promote your campgrounds offline as well, which is still very important. Three quick bullet points on our business. We're highly credentialed, and I want you to know that I'm sharing true best practices. In 2018, we were designated a Google featured partner for listings presence management. In 2019, we won the coveted High Impact Partner Award for the Grow with Google program, which is basically a small business educational program that Google sponsors. And we were the largest Google Street View trusted agency in 2020 and also 2021, and we're on the path to do that again, we think, in 2022. So with my street credibility established, we'll jump into what you're here for today. And a couple of thoughts at just the outset here. First, marketing is more complicated today than it's ever been before. That actually benefits you if you're a new campground owner, or if you're in the process of branding a campground for the first time. A decade ago, advertising was very expensive. And although it was expensive, you could generally cover your bases by covering like 4 different channels. If you had a decent print presence in newspapers or directories, if you had a strong presence on the radio, and especially in the campground and in the hospitality business, if you were long-term participants in the travel guides and some of the traditional media serving the camping and RV community. Today, those pillars of advertising are a lot less important, and that puts new campground owners and park owners on a more even footing, regardless of how long they've been in operation. So if you're a new RVIC member and or if you've recently purchased a campground, it's a very level playing field, and quickly you can develop the type of very strong, attractive visibility online that it may have taken your rivals to build in a much longer time period. Instead of 4 different channels today, there are unlimited number of places that consumers might find you, and you can't cover them all. There's obviously Google, and we think of Google as the 800-pound gorilla in the marketplace. That's the most important place to be and the most consumer trafficked search site online. Obviously, there's social media, critically important review sites and hospitality review sites, Yelp, Bing as an important search engine with about 15% market share still. TripAdvisor, Apple Maps. This is from a real slide from a marketing industry conference presentation that the speaker was presenting on a few years ago. And his point was to make it clear to everybody in the audience how simple and straightforward the online ecosystem was. I look at this and I see a hairball. It's a ball of string. It is a more complicated marketing environment today than it's been in the past. But effective local marketing is more important today than it's ever been before to campground owners also. And why is that? Why is marketing more important today than in years past? It's because everybody's got a mobile phone. We're a more well-informed, information-enabled consumer population than human history has ever seen before. Nearly everyone has an internet-connected mobile phone. And many of you have experienced this. Consumers are better informed, they're more demanding, they're less patient. They're also less path dependent and less loyal. And in that environment, advertising is important. And I think everybody would acknowledge too, the business world is more competitive than it's ever been before. That's true too in the camping ecosystem. National brands have moved into every corner of the economy and every part of the country. Those national brands who have sophisticated marketing departments, devoted marketing personnel, and deep marketing budgets, and new entrants to the business world are at an all-time high in the campground and RV industries as a result of about a decade of really attractive low interest rates and consumer spending changes. There are a lot of new people, so it's a tougher business marketplace than ever before. And I touched on this on my previous points, but consumer audiences are disaggregated as channels, and the number of verticals have multiplied. It becomes, if you're not careful, what can feel like a roulette wheel of places to potentially spend your advertising money, and really to misspend it if you're not careful. The fact of the matter is you don't need to win everywhere, and you can't reasonably win everywhere online. But you do need to show up nearly everywhere, and showing up visibly, credibly, and attractively is important. And without spending any money, if you choose to do it yourself, and just devoting some time to it, you can do that. You can be visible, credible, and attractive. I'm not going to win a lot of friends when I start a presentation about something essential to your business to describe it as more complicated than ever before, and also more important than ever before. But I think it's true, and maybe some of you have from other businesses have had sort of same feeling that the increasingly complex but important marketing ecosystem is challenging, and doing it completely by yourself without good advice can start to feel like trying to give yourself a haircut. And the other side of that coin, if you're not getting good advice or really self-educating on this, there's always somebody who becomes in your network or in your local community who appoints themselves a marketing guru. And we've seen it for years, almost as long as we've been in business. The qualifications and the real expertise of some people who position themselves like that should be questioned, but they are available, and frequently it's not best practices advice. They're offering things that you can do yourself, and oftentimes charging you a lot for it. So a part of my educational presentation on the foundations of a strong marketing presence is to help you not fall for the local, expensive, self-appointed marketing guru, because in fact, it's not that complicated. It just takes a little bit of time and some intelligent attention. There are great tools online to self-educate, and not just to make your marketing manageable, but to also make it fun and super engaging, and you'll get a great return from some of these tips. Let's talk first about the 3 ways to appear on Google. And some of these slides come straight from the Grow with Google slide deck that Google prepares for us to deliver to economic development groups or downtown merchant associations, or in this case, new members of campground associations. So just some basics. Google thinks of advertising 3 different ways, and only one of these ways is something that you actually have to spend money on, and that's the text ad at the top there. If you break down the 3 ways to advertise, there are organic results, there are business profiles. Those 2 things are costless, and then there are text ads. So let's walk through those each in turn, and we'll begin with organic results. Everybody, wants to have a high-ranking website on Google. And what's great about organic results is you don't have to pay for them. What's tough about organic results is that you have to be smart about the way you arrange your data online and the way you put together your website. Google behind the scenes is running a tremendous amount of information. They're downloading effectively a copy of the internet. They're scanning it, and they're indexing or categorizing what they find. And with that categorization or indexing, Google will rank the information that they uncover to show the results that they believe will be most valued by customers. They refer to that ranking as an indexing process. And what they do is they will itemize the words and pictures and brands and location information in your site. And specifically what they're looking for is content that they know consumers will value. And if you think about Google as a giant data parsing engine, Google protects its first place as a search site used by consumers by making sure that consumers have a good experience when they run a search query. They want results that are going to be relevant and accurate, and they want results that customers can rely on and interact with high confidence. So specifically, Google will prize a website and business listings with content that is unique. And in the category of unique content, photos, like actual real on-site photos, not stock imagery. Avoid stock imagery. It's the kiss of death for good rank. Videos also give you a tremendous amount of rank advantage. If you have a website, you should develop some video content that you can embed in that website. Providing good narrative text and also review content is worthwhile as well. Google knows that people are drawn to photos, that they are heavily engaged in videos. Nice descriptive narrative text rather than merely bullet points is important. And Google prizes authentic, true consumer reviews. Even reviews that aren't necessarily 5 stars, but that say a lot and that say it in a way that resonates with somebody that might be reading that review is important. Google also cares about the currency of your content. If you put up a website and then let it grow stale, you're doing yourself a great disservice. Fresh content is fuel for high rank. The internet discriminates against stale content, and making sure that your imagery is swapped in and out of your website, making sure that your content is seasonally appropriate, being certain that your pictures make sense so that you're not showing fall pictures in the spring or winter pictures in the summer, etc. Then the final, one of the many important, but the third final truly important indexing criteria that SEO experts across the board agree is really important is the authority of your site or your listings. What other sites are referencing you by linking to your site? And how are those incoming linked sites ranked for authority? And how consistent is your data across other trusted sites? And that's particularly important for your listings, which I'll talk about in a minute. But if you can link to some authoritative sites or be linked to by them, that's very beneficial for strong organic presence. So on those 3 things I mentioned, avoid stock photos, avoid repurposed content that you've pulled from someplace else like the plague. Google knows that it's a copy, that it's not unique, and that it is, and that it has less relevance and less authenticity than unique content. I mentioned, updating your website content and also your listings content regularly to keep it seasonally relevant. And then authoritative, whatever you can do to get your website linked to by another influential search site, such as the ARVC site or your local Chamber of Commerce's site, a nonprofit, an educational group, local media source like a newspaper in the community, other people in your referral network. That is really important as well. As you design your website or as you work with somebody who will design your website, there are a list of tools that Google makes freely available to consumers, and you don't need a PhD, or a computer science or engineering degree to use these tools. Your website needs to load fast, and it should load fast on all devices. Today, if your website is not built to display best in a mobile environment, Google will regard it as not as convenient and a bit behind the times, and your rank will get nicked up. For that reason, your site should open quickly and perfectly in all browsers and on all devices. And there are a raft of good resources that Google makes easily available to you to check the speed of your load times and to check browser and device compatibility. Let's talk a little bit about your business profiles and your business listings. It used to be that your website was sort of the front door to your business. Today, your business profiles are in fact the front door to your website, and business profiles contain so much information that consumers or travelers will frequently skip your website entirely and simply look at your business profile. I'll show you some examples of well-developed business profiles, but you don't have to pay anything for business profiles. Google and all of the other influential consumer search sites, whether it's Bing or Yelp or TripAdvisor, or any of dozens of other consumer sites, allow merchants to establish a free listing that is the equivalent of a modern day barrel of ink and a printing press. Let's look at business profile information that appears at no charge and that loads consumers up with consumers or customers or travelers up with a ton of information about your business. Consumers are likelier today to click on business listings and business profiles than they are to click through to your website. Here's what Google advises. And again, this is truly good work that Google is doing for consumers and for small business owners. And this data comes directly from Google. You can add imagery, hours, a business description, types of payments accepted. You can list your campground amenities, and a raft of other information in the space that Google gives you. And to the extent that the most influential search site in the history of the world is giving you the opportunity to take advantage of free space, you're really smart to do it. You will rank higher, and you'll also convert more customers who come across your listing. Google's own data says that complete business profiles are 2.7 times, so 270% more likely to be considered reputable by consumers. They're 70% more likely to attract a location visit, which is the coin of the realm in the hospitality industry. And they're 50% more likely to lead to a purchase. So, you know, on the left, that's a pretty empty business profile. It's the photo that Google took with their Google car as they drove by and a little maps matchup. On the right, full-blown information, imagery submitted by the owner of Amy's Bakery in that case. Lots of information in that listing. I mentioned that all of the other influential search sites that are important in the camping and RV industry have a similar regimen for developing a completely free listing, and you should really take advantage of it. I threw the logos up there and I put the GoCampingAmerica.com logo in the middle because that is a highly influential in-group interest-specific vertical that is run by a .org and that provides a lot of the authority benefits that I talked about for your website in my earlier slides. What kind of business can you drop into a typical business profile? It's different at every site. You know, Yelp has a from the merchant space. Google doesn't. Foursquare takes a lot of information that Bing doesn't, but mainly the core data is the same. Obviously, there's your NAP data, your name, address, phone number, your website, hours of operation. A natural language business description gives you a paragraph or two or maybe three, depending on the site, to describe your business in words that real people would use to describe your site. And you should take that opportunity to write a nice paragraph, a complimentary paragraph about your business very seriously. You can list your amenities, your services, what you're known for. If you have particular designations, certifications, if you've won an award, Google has a whole series of business characteristics that you can list. And almost all of the profiles, whether it's Yelp or Foursquare or TripAdvisor or Bing or Google have devoted a lot of space to nice imagery, photos, to virtual tours, to video content that you might have. And also they have links to your social media sites. All of that is available to you in the business profile space, and managing it can sometimes be a chore. If you're doing it right, it will take you hours a month, but it's incredibly powerful because we're living in a world today where the way people come across your website is they find it in your official business listing at Google, or your merchant profile at Yelp, or your business listing at TripAdvisor. Those incredibly powerful data aggregating search sites, they want to make sure that your data is fully built out. They want to make sure that it's accurate. They don't charge you for it because they know that that's what keeps their content relevant and worthwhile to the consuming public. Each of those sites has their own protocol for submitting data. You'll have to have password and credentials for each of those sites, but then you can manage it, you can update it, and it's important that you do. And just doing that well will give you major search rank advantages. I talked earlier about the drivers of organic visibility, which people tend to think of as mainly for websites. Those same drivers apply equally to business listings and business profiles. Accuracy of your business listings is incredibly important. And it's not just accuracy, the first bullet point, it's consistency also. The data that you submit to any of the top 5 or top 8 destination or travel or consumer search sites should be completely accurate and consistent across all those sites. Google wants to be confident that they're presenting accurate, verified, truthful information to the consuming public. Like, it's really frustrating when somebody goes to Google, picks a place to have a dinner, for instance, or to stay for the weekend. They get there and it's sold out, or it's booked up, or it's not open at 8 o'clock on a Sunday evening, so to speak. For that reason, Google monitors Yelp, Google monitors Bing, Google compares the listing information that you've submitted to the core foundational name, address, phone number, website, hours of operation data that you've got in your own website. So they're comparing your website data to your listing data. To the extent that there's a conflict, then Google doesn't know with high confidence that they've got authentic, high veracity information about your business. It's a rank killer. So accuracy of your information and then consistency of that information everywhere you've submitted it is really important. And then we can talk again about uniqueness, freshness, and authority. Photos, videos, most of the listing profile protocols permit you to upload photos, to submit videos, and to gather and respond to consumer reviews. That unique information, the more of it that you have, the more visible you'll be online, and the higher you'll rank in return search results for consumers. The freshness of your content, as I said before, with regard to websites, is incredibly important. The internet is not a place where you can put all your information once and then turn back to it once a year or once every other year. If you're not updating your listings data on at least a seasonal quarterly basis, you'll lose rank and lose visibility because of that. And then again, authority, obviously also who's referencing your listings from their sites. the value of a well-developed business profile can be extreme. The holy grail is to have your business profile show up in a general business category search and town name. So not just when somebody's searching for Ted's RV park, but also when somebody is searching for camping near Decatur City, Iowa. That's the coin of the realm right there. It's unpaid and it's worth thousands or potentially tens of thousands of dollars to build out your profile presence at no charge to show up that well when you're searched. How you rank in returned search results, this is an example from a desktop, but it's the same. And in fact, it's probably a more extreme case of value either being created or lost is really important. It's great to show up in the top 3, but there is a huge difference in the number of calls or visits that you'll get if you go from second to first or third to first, to 226%, a more than doubling of calls or clicks moving from second place, which is really good, to first place, which is a lot better. If you move from third to first, it more than triples the volume of leads that you'll get from that listing, actions taken by customers. So it's that important. And it comes down to just a process-driven attention to the free listings infrastructure that these sites have in place. And again, I'm really focused on Google because Google will tell you that they're, I think, 78% or 70% of search traffic. I frankly think that they do that because they don't want the FCC cracking down on them for monopoly power. My own experience is that Google is more influential than that. It's probably 80% of consumer searches originate at Google. And so I'm focused on Google for that reason. You know, the tail 20% that might come from other sites is incredibly important too. And having a good presence, as I said, at those other sites so that Google knows that your information is authoritative, accurate, trustable, and therefore presentable to the consuming public is really helpful. Other examples of how in listings result on the screen of a mobile phone, you know, these happen to be our customers, how good results are very important to you. Now let's turn to the topic of paid ads at Google, and I'll give a very, very basic overview of paid ads. Again, Google's a brilliant company. There's a reason why they offer employees in their cafeterias sushi and filet at their headquarters. They're an incredible company. They're sitting on tons of data, and they make it super easy to intelligently purchase advertising from them, and their advertising is effective. When you buy text ads at Google, they're going to reach people who are searching for your products or your services. Frequently, they'll do that even when they're not searching you by name. And there's an easy infrastructure for buying advertising at Google that lets you set it and control a budget. You pay only when customers take action. And there are easy ways to track and measure your success. And if you want to take a screenshot of this, they've got some good study guides and some really super simple self-help programs. It's easy to get started. There's real value in it. Obviously, with the kind of market share that Google has, everybody should have some money set aside for spending advertising, and not just the free things that Google tees up, although the free things are very important. I'm going to double back to that in just a minute. The infrastructure for buying paid advertising at Google is meant to be easy. It's also meant to be a little bit addictive. Again, you've got a great set of tools that help you pick an audience and sort of select the desired searcher attributes of that audience, and also pay for what you want. Do you want to pay for phone calls? Do you want to pay for map and direction clicks, website visits, physical location visits? Easy tools, no long-term commitment. There is a reason, as I said, that Google employees can select a really great company paid lunch at headquarters, at least. And it's partially because Google's very, very smart about pricing up the advertising, particularly after you've begun buying it for a while. And it's fair for me to say Google's brilliant. You should be spending some money on paid ads. But a couple of caveats are in order. It can become very expensive. There is limited inventory, and Google knows, for instance, what a typical customer at your campground is worth to you. Google knows that. And they also know what other people in your industry will pay for that same advertising. And pricing is dynamic and is set on a auction basis. So if you're in a market with zero competition, you're not likely to spend yourself into the poorhouse with some moderate Google advertising. If you're in, a 50-mile radius of a large metropolitan area, or if you're in a more competitive geography or desired searcher geography, even if that geography isn't your own backyard, since people travel a good distance to recreate outdoors, the pricing can become very expensive. There are really good reasons not to devote all of your marketing efforts, as easy as it is, to pay-per-click advertising. One of those reasons is because the organic listings that Google provides for free have a 20 times higher click-through rate than paid ads. Consumers have trained themselves over the past decade or the past 15 years to simply read past the paid listings content in favor of trusted local listings that are not denoted with the ad designation. And I think we've all been consumers. Like, you scroll right past the ads oftentimes and right to the organic results or the business listings. So pay-per-click advertising is important. It's something that you should be investing in. It'll be insufficient to keep your campground full and to have more than your fair share of the marketplace versus your competitors. Let's talk about a couple of other, I think, key opportunities in the 2022 timeframe. One of those is reputation management, and I'll also spend a few minutes on hosted video. So let's talk about reputation management first. Positive reviews never happen on accident, and proactive management of your online reputation isn't just good business. It's truly fundamental to having an effective local marketing presence online. It's okay to admit that online reviews are annoying sometimes. Sometimes they're very gratifying. It's great to get a pat on the back. It's a really terrible feeling to get flamed online by by somebody who left a lot of beer bottles at their campsite and then knocked over your exit post as they pulled out the next morning, and you find out that person wrote you a 2-star review or a 1-star review. Everybody's been there, and there isn't anything that's fair about that. But here's what is equally true. You can meaningfully manage your review presence. And you have to, because positive reviews create new customers. And the flip side of that, negative reviews will drive off new customers. People will look right past you if you don't have a 4.0 or higher star rating. The ecosystem is not fair. But reviews and star ratings, the review content and the aggregated star rating, it's like the new permanent record that your parents used to threaten you with when you were kids. Don't get in trouble at school. That's going to become a part of your permanent record. Gosh, like I worried about that all the way through college. And then I'm like, permanent record? Like nobody's got a permanent record. Well, today you do have a permanent record. Managing your reviews today will be benefiting your business 6 months from now, a year from now, literally 6 years from now. Reviews are the new permanent record. And I hate to say it, but negative reviews are like tar. They draw more negative reviews, and positive reviews. Flip side of that is that positive reviews are like honey. They draw more positive reviews. Meaningfully and appropriately managing the review process proactively is something that you should have a strategy for. And there are some good tactics that I'll walk through in doing it. I think that everybody understands today the power of positive reviews. You can read these stats as well as I can read them off. 84% of people trust online reviews as much as a personal recommendation. Again, I was at a media conference where the presenter credibly made the case that people trust public reviews more than they trust recommendations from their mother. I'm not making that case, but reviews are very long lasting, as I said. And having a lot of review content, particularly positive review content, is a rank driver also. If you've got a high star rating attached to your business listing, the first thing that a consumer sees when they search, your listing will rank higher. Google doesn't want to put poorly managed businesses high in search results. They're going to amplify and favor in return search results businesses that they feel are being judged by Google's customers too as doing a good job for the consuming public. It's critical space to manage. This is a bit of a dated study, but this is a review from the hospitality industry that positive reviews, a 1-star increase in Yelp rating. This is one site, 1-star increase becomes a 5 to 9% revenue driver. That was a published Harvard Business School study from several years ago. So putting time and thought and effort into eliciting positive reviews from campers you suspect will take a minute as they leave your campground to say what a great time they had and how wonderful it was for the kids and how they can't wait to come back next year. Coming up with a methodology for eliciting that kind of feedback, and then coming up for a methodology for responding appropriately and responsibly to negative reviews is really important as well. Nearly everybody that you come across who has a 4.7, 4.8, 4.9, 5.0 star rating and a good volume of reviews is proactively hustling to stay on top of the way they're perceived by the general public. And there's no shortcut to running a good business, treating people right. But doing just that and not having a process for managing your reviews is leaving it to fate. And I love this. I'm an Illinois guy. I love this quote from Abraham Lincoln. Good things do come to those who wait, but only those good things left behind by those who hustle. That's I think he was talking about the review ecosystem back in the 1860s. So 4 simple components to an effective review management program. 1, make it a process and talk with all of your front of store staff, people who sign campers in, people who sign campers out, anyone who's working with the general public. Let them know, like, we're on a mission to put the great work that we do here, the experiences that we find fun alongside the families we host or the visitors we have. We're gonna tell the positive, true story of our business online, and we're gonna be comfortable asking people if they wouldn't mind writing us a review. We recommend that you don't just ask people to write a review, but you come up with some sort of a handout that asks them to leave an authentic review. Depending on the site, you can't, a couple of things. One, you can never give something away of value in exchange for a positive review. It's unethical. And if any site caught you doing that, they would remove their review content, and they might warn the consuming public that you were caught doing something fraudulent in the review process. The best practice is to ask people for an authentic review. Let them know, I've got my whole life's work invested in this property. I'm not a huge business, and my public reputation is really important to me. If you had a good visit, we'd sure appreciate it if you would leave a review. And also, if there was anything that was unsatisfactory about your visit, please let me know. For our customers, we provide a review form that stands to helpfully make you aware of a problem that you might have otherwise read about in a public review. And that also helps customers who have just had a fantastic experience, makes it easy for them to leave a review by including a QR code that brings them to the write a review space at a site that's important to you, that type of thing. So commitment process. We also recommend that it becomes somebody's role in your campground business to know what's being written about you online. So somebody on a regular basis needs to be checking in at Yelp, at TripAdvisor, on Facebook, and other places where reviews can be written, so that you're not blindsided by a review, and so that you've got a process for responding appropriately and professionally to anything written publicly about you. And again, there are, you can do that on your own, or you can have somebody at really low dollars, small dollars, programmatically monitor your reviews for you and send you, literally cut, copy, and paste in an email, send you a copy of everything that's been said publicly about you in the last 24 hours, so that you're really on top of it. You should respond to all reviews, positive reviews, through your listing credentials at Google or at TripAdvisor or at Yelp. You can typically respond to somebody, and you shouldn't just respond to negative reviews. And you should respond to all reviews. Somebody writes you a nice review, write them back to say, hey, glad you had a great stay. Can't wait to see you next summer. Thanks for spending your holiday week with us, or whatever it might be. And if somebody writes you a negative review, there's a process for that also. And we've seen that, we've seen, and we get it too. You have your whole heart invested in the business that you're running. The key in responding to negative reviews is to understand you're not really going to probably change that customer's mind. So you're not really responding to them. You are, in fact, responding to somebody who reads the review and then reads your response. Remember that your audience, in terms of writing back to somebody who's written you a bad review, isn't that particular consumer necessarily. Your audience is the entire World Wide Web. And you want to answer in a way that's accountable, that might set the record straight a little bit, that shows concern, and that makes it clear that you're totally accountable as a business owner, and you're going to get to the bottom of whatever they were unhappy with, and appreciate their feedback. Then finally, whatever you can do to amplify the positive reviews that you receive, you should do it. I mean, once you get into the business of paying close attention to your reviews, you'll really look forward to seeing what your reviews were that last week, because it gives you an opportunity at a staff meeting, or when you're on your property, to pat somebody on the back to say, hey, this just came through. I want to read it to you from my cell phone. This is what they said about us. Feels so good. You can get your whole team fired up about the great job that they're doing. And you can share those positive reviews on your website, or in other places with with everybody else. Whatever you can do to amplify your four-star reviews and your 5-star reviews, you should be doing that. This is how you want to look as a new campground owner. You have this opportunity oftentimes to start fresh and to start from scratch. And you want to make sure that you're starting with 4- and 5-star reviews. As I said before, it's tar or honey. You do get to pick, and this will be a critical first 4 months, first 6 months, first year in business, to make sure that mainly what's being said about you is honey, drawing more honeybees, not tar. You don't want to attract more tar babies. It's hugely advantageous, and you should look at your reviews as a capital asset. It makes your campground more valuable. You will have more sellout weekends and stay busier into the slow season to the extent that you've got review ratings higher than 4.5 and higher than 4 always. The next thing that I would say is a big opportunity in 2022, 2023, 2024 is video. The barriers on great video content have come way down in recent years. And to the extent that, we're an image-centric society, we're becoming a video-centric society. Video is a great medium for storytelling, and it allows you to marry up sound, imagery, and voiceover, like music, imagery, and voiceover, to connect with people on many different levels. Video is super engaging. If you add a video to a website or a landing page, it can increase your conversions by 80%. That's not my statistic. That's from an authority in our industry, HubSpot.com. Video is incredibly influential in ranking well online. This statistic is becoming a little bit dated, and I don't have a newer one, so I'm still using it. But from a few years ago, Forrester Research noted that a website with video content is 53 times, not percent, 53 times more likely to appear on the first page of Google results. Video is powerful for rank, and video is really influential. ComScore reports that 64% of consumers are more likely to buy a product or patronize a business after watching a video. If you want to grow, video today is not very expensive. And frankly, there are good platforms that will permit you to build professional sounding and professional feeling video content yourself. If you'd like to do that, we recommend it. A couple of other things that you should be thinking about as you are still in the building stages of your campground. Anytime that you can get free press, it's really valuable to you, obviously. It's like taking advantage of the free business profiles and the new fashioned barrel of ink and a printing press. But don't forget about the old fashioned barrel of ink and a printing press. It's a good investment typically to join your Chamber of Commerce. And if it's your first year as a new campground owner, have them out to do a ribbon cutting and then produce a press release about it. A local Chamber of Commerce has a highly authoritative website. It's a .org website. Typically, it's highly regarded by Google. It's considered authoritative. They typically list all their members and will also list your website, provides you an influential backlink. That's true of your state campground association, and also true of the GoCampingAmerica.com National Trade Association site. And I believe that Go Camping listing, Go Camping America listing for ARVC members is without cost. You should take advantage of that. Local and regional newspapers and also radio stations, they are starving for content. And if you will type up a 4-paragraph news article about your campground and about the 2 new campsites that you put in, or the fact that spring is coming late to this local family-owned business that depends on good weather, or whatever it might be. The picture of a kid that caught a 5-pound bass in your lagoon, the fact that you remodeled your laundry facilities. I'm making it up, but there are newsworthy things happening at your property that that the newspaper locally will publish for you word for word at no charge. And it's wise when you type those news articles up, because they're going to wind up in a paper edition of that newspaper. They're also going to probably wind up on that newspaper's website. Drop your company URL, your own website, your www.yourcampgroundname.com into that article. I can say this because I'm not a campground owner, and I can be really third party to it. Like many Americans, a ton of my most cherished early memories from camping trips that I took with my parents or my grandparents when I was a kid. Americans feel a special affinity for campgrounds and think of family-owned campgrounds as the iconic, quintessential, feel-good human interest news story. And again, you don't have to be a wordsmith or an English major to put together a press release. And our experience in advising other campgrounds is that almost everything they write up and share about their park will be regarded as newsworthy. It'll be published, links and all, at no charge. So we recommend that. Those are sort of the basic fundamentals. And the great news is that it's a super level playing field for new campground owners. You can develop the kind of findability that would have taken a campground a decade to build 30 or 40 years ago. And you can do that without spending any money, or by spending a small amount of money on paid advertising at Google that you buy yourself. It's not complicated. It takes some time. It takes some dedication, and you'll get better at it as it goes. Our objective at AMP and as a member benefits provider to ARVC is to be a non-mercenary backer of the enterprise that you're sort of sinking your life into as you join this industry. Our objective is always to provide expert advice and education to our clients, and to provide practical and foundational, also very inexpensive local marketing programs. We don't regard it as rocket science. We know that you're busy, and to the extent that even if you know how to do it well, you don't have the time for it, or it's not what you love. It's actually what we love. We've been doing it for 25 years, and all of our services are provided on a full service, do it for you basis. We'll only bring objectively factual, best in class solutions to members of ARVC. And to the extent that you have questions or want to talk to an expert, we don't charge for that at all. We would love to help you solve either pressing problems that you have, or just give you some advice about how to do things yourself. And to the extent that we can bring you on as a client at any point or at any level to do some of this work for you, we'd certainly love to. And in the meantime, expert advice and education and shared ward stories are without charge. Thanks for joining me for this session, and best wishes and good luck to you as you find your footing in the campground space and find success in it. Thanks so much.